Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the life you desire. Feel it, touch it, breathe it in as if it is already yours. The world tells you to wait, to hope, to struggle, but I tell you, creation is finished. Everything you desire already exists. The only question is, do you have the faith to claim it? Your imagination is the key. It is not a mere daydream, not a fleeting thought. It is the divine power within you shaping your reality. What you imagine with conviction becomes your truth. If you see yourself as lacking, you will experience lack. If you see yourself as abundant, abundance will find you. Your task is not to beg, not to plead, but to assume. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and let that assumption solidify into fact. Doubt is the enemy of manifestation. When you ask how, when, or if it is possible, you deny your own power. The mind must be disciplined to reject all that contradicts the vision. There is no room for hesitation, for second guessing, for waiting on proof before believing. Walk by faith, not by sight. The world will eventually reflect what you persist in assuming. The secret is in the feeling. It is not enough to say the words, to speak affirmations without conviction. You must feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude. Walk by faith, not by sight. The world will show you reasons to doubt, distractions to pull you away from your vision, but you must remain steadfast. Do not allow appearances to dictate your belief. What you see with your physical eyes is only a reflection of your past assumptions. If you do not like what you see, do not fight it. Change your assumption and the world will conform. You are not bound by circumstances. You are their master. Go into the silence. Withdraw from the noise of the world and enter the secret place within. There in the stillness you will find the truth. You are the creator of your reality. In the quiet, assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Do not wish, do not hope, assume. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the certainty that it is already done. Your imagination is not fiction, it is the blueprint of your life. The law is simple. You become what you believe yourself to be. If you desire love, do not seek it, be it. If you desire wealth, do not chase it. Assume the consciousness of wealth. When you shift your state of being, the world must rearrange itself to reflect that shift. There is no effort in this, only knowing. You do not need to push, to force, to struggle. Simply assume and allow the unseen hand of creation to bring forth the evidence. Every night, as you close your eyes to sleep, let go of the day that has passed. Do not dwell on what was, for what was is no longer relevant. Instead, occupy the state of your wish fulfilled. See yourself as already having, already being, already living the life you desire. Let sleep take you in that state, and the subconscious mind will go to work, bringing forth that which you have impressed upon it. Be watchful of your inner conversations. The words you speak to yourself shape your world. If you constantly dwell on failure, on rejection, on what is lacking, you reinforce those realities. Instead, discipline your mind to dwell only on the things you wish to experience. Speak of yourself as you wish to be. Think of yourself as already having, and the world will reflect that new assumption back to you. When the world presents challenges, when things appear unchanged, do not waver. The greatest test of faith is persistence in the unseen. The moment you allow doubt to creep in, you undo the work you have set in motion. Do not react to the old reality. Persist in the new one. Live in the end. Act as if it is already done. And soon, what was once invisible will become. You must not concern yourself with how your desires will manifest. That is not your task. The ways and means are beyond human understanding, for the power within you is limitless. It does not require effort, manipulation, or external force. The law works perfectly, without fail, for those who trust it completely. Let go of worry, release the need to control, and simply know there is no difference between the smallest and the greatest desire. The law does not discriminate. Whether you seek a simple change or the grandest transformation, the process remains the same. Assume the feeling, persist in the state, and allow it to unfold. Your only limitation is your belief. If you believe something is difficult, it will be. If you believe it is effortless, it will come with ease. You are always manifesting. Every moment of every day, you are shaping your world through your assumptions. There is no pause, no moment when this power is not in motion. The question is, are you using it consciously or unconsciously? Are you creating by design or by default? If you find yourself in lack, do not despair. Lack is not your reality. It is only a state of consciousness. And just as you entered into it, you can exit. Simply shift your attention, your assumption, and your world will follow. Do not entertain thoughts of limitation, for they have no power except that which you give them. You are the operant power. Nothing happens to you, everything happens through you. Dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled, and let that state become natural. If at first it feels unfamiliar, persist. What is practiced becomes habitual. In time, the new assumption will feel so real, so normal, that you will wonder how you ever believed otherwise. The world will shift, people will respond differently, opportunities will present themselves, everything will bend to match your assumption. No one and nothing is against you. There is no external force denying you your desires. The only obstacle is within, your doubts, your fears, your unwillingness to believe. But when you decide, truly decide, that you are the creator of your experience, nothing can stand in your way. The secret is this: you do not need to become something, you only need to awaken to what you already are. You are infinite, powerful beyond measure. Everything you desire is already within you, waiting to be claimed. There is no lack, no separation, no delay, only your willingness to accept the truth. Change the story you tell about yourself. Let go of the old identity, the limitations, the excuses. See yourself as already having, already being, already living the life you desire. This is not deception, it is creation. You are not pretending, you are aligning with the truth that already exists beyond time. Your imagination is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. What you dare to assume with conviction must harden into fact. This is not theory, it is law. The only question is, will you use it deliberately? Will you claim your birthright as the creator of your world? Or will you continue to live as though you are powerless, subject to chance and circumstance? The choice is yours, and it is always yours. You may begin now, this very moment, to step into a new reality. There is nothing to wait for, nothing to prepare. Simply assume, and the world will shift accordingly. The power is within you, waiting to be realized. The moment you accept it, the moment you live by it, everything changes. The power that creates worlds is within you. It has always been within you. From the moment you became aware of yourself, you have been shaping your life through your assumptions, your beliefs, your inner conversations. You were never at the mercy of circumstances. Circumstances were at the mercy of you. Everything in your experience has been drawn to you by the state you have occupied, whether consciously or unconsciously. Look at your life and you will see the evidence of your past assumptions. If you have believed in struggle, struggle has met you at every turn. If you have believed in love, love has surrounded you. The law is perfect, it does not err. The only question is, will you continue to create unconsciously, allowing fear, doubt, and limitation to dictate your reality, or will you take control, assume consciously, and shape your world by design? Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a seed planted in the fertile ground of the subconscious mind. The moment you accept something as true, it takes root, and the world begins to shift to reflect that new truth. It may not happen in an instant, but the process is set in motion the very moment you believe. Time is irrelevant. All that matters is your conviction. The stronger your belief, the faster the manifestation. Doubt is the only delay. The moment you entertain thoughts of impossibility, of struggle, of unworthiness, you halt the process. not because the law has failed, but because you have given power to the wrong assumption. The world can only reflect what you persist in believing. If you wish to change the reflection, you must change the belief. Do not concern yourself with the outer world. The outer world is merely a shadow, a delayed echo of your past assumptions. It is not real in itself. It is only a projection of what you have believed to be true. If you react to it, you reinforce it. But if you ignore it, if you persist in the new assumption regardless of appearances, the old must fade and the new must take its place. Nothing is beyond your reach. The only limits are the ones you accept. If you say something is difficult, it will be. If you say something is easy, it will be. The law does not distinguish between small and large desires. It only responds to the intensity of your belief. A shift in consciousness is all that is required. The moment you assume something to be yours, the universe sets forth the means to bring it into being. You do not need to know how. The how is never your concern. The ways and means are beyond your comprehension, for they belong to the infinite intelligence that governs all things. Your only task is to assume, to persist, to know with unwavering certainty that it is already done. The moment you release the need to control, the moment you surrender the desire to figure it out, you allow the unseen forces to work on your behalf. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it must externalize in your world. There is no exception to this law. The delay, if any, is only due to your own wavering, your own return to the old state of being. But the moment you remain firm, the moment you refuse to accept anything less than the fulfillment of your desire, the outer world must comply. It has no choice. Imagination is the highest form of reality. What you see within is far more real than what you see without, for the within is the cause and the without is the effect. Train yourself to dwell in the unseen. Train yourself to walk in the assumption of your desire already fulfilled. Let the world say what it will. Let appearances contradict you. Your only task is to remain faithful to your vision. Do not speak of lack, of limitation, of things not going your way. Words are powerful, and each one spoken reinforces the reality it describes. Speak only of what you wish to experience. Declare yourself blessed, prosperous, loved, successful, not in the future, but now. Speak as though it is already so, for in truth it is. The world simply has not yet caught up to the assumption you have made, but it will. It must. The past has no power over you. Whatever has come before was only a manifestation of your previous assumptions. If you have suffered, if you have struggled, if you have experienced disappointment, do not dwell on it. It has no hold on you unless you choose to carry it forward. The moment you assume a new reality, the past dissolves and a new future is born. Others have no power over you. No one outside of you is shaping your reality. You are the only cause. If someone treats you unfairly, it is only because you have assumed yourself to be someone who is treated unfairly. If someone loves and cherishes you, it is because you have assumed yourself to be worthy of love and affection. The world is your mirror, reflecting only what you assume yourself to be. Nothing can be lost that belongs to you by right of consciousness. If something leaves your life, do not grieve. Instead, ask yourself what state of being you have occupied to bring about that experience, and then shift. Assume the state of abundance, of love, of success, and all that is yours must return to you in greater measure. This power is always at work. It does not take breaks, it does not rest. Every moment you are shaping your reality. Every assumption is a decree sent forth into the universe. Be deliberate, be conscious. Let every thought, every feeling, every inner conversation reflect the life you wish to experience. There is no effort in this. Creation is effortless. The only effort required is in maintaining faith, in refusing to entertain doubts, in persisting in the unseen when the world has not yet conformed. But that is not struggle, it is simply discipline. A discipline that, once mastered, will make you the deliberate creator of your reality. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to believe. Do not wait for proof before assuming. That is the way of those who do not understand the law. Assume first, and the proof will follow. Live in the end, and the middle will take care of itself. Nothing is required of you except the willingness to believe. Each day, before you rise, take a moment to dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let it be the first thing you experience, and each night, before you sleep, do the same. Fall asleep in the assumption that all you desire is already yours. Let your subconscious mind carry that assumption into the depths, where it will be impressed and brought forth into your waking world. The world is not outside of you, it is within you. What you see before you is but a shadow of your inner world. Change the within, and the without must follow. There is no exception, no condition, no possibility of failure, except through disbelief. If you wish to be free, assume freedom. If you wish to be loved, assume love. If you wish to be abundant, assume abundance. Make no room for doubt, for fear, for limitation. Walk as though you already are all that you wish to be, and soon you will know that you always were. There is no one to change but self. The world is not broken, it is not against you, it is not something to be fought. It is simply a reflection of your inner state. Change the state, and the reflection must change. There is no need for struggle, no need for force. Only the simple act of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Everything you desire is already yours. It is not something to be gained, but something to be realized. The moment you accept this, the moment you live in the certainty that it is already done, you will see the evidence appear before you, not as a miracle, not as luck, but as the inevitable unfolding of the law that governs all things. You are the creator, you always have been, there is nothing outside of you. The only question is, what will you assume to be true? What reality will you choose to claim? For whatever you assume with conviction, whatever you persist in believing, must become your experience. This is the law, and it is perfect. You are not separate from your desires. That which you seek is already within you, waiting for recognition. The moment you claim it as your own, it begins to take form in your world. You do not chase after what is yours, you embody it. You become it. And as you become, the world must follow. This is not theory, nor is it wishful thinking. It is law, unchangeable, eternal, and absolute. Nothing is created outside of consciousness. Everything you see, hear, touch, and experience originates from the unseen realm of thought and feeling. Your senses deceive you into believing that the world is external, separate from you. But this is the great illusion. The outer world is a shadow, cast by the light of your inner world. Change the source, and the shadow must shift. Cling to the shadow, and you remain bound to the old. If you wish to manifest a new reality, you must first become aware of what you are assuming to be true about yourself. What are the inner conversations that play in the background of your mind? What do you say to yourself when no one else is listening? These unseen dialogues shape the conditions of your life. They dictate how the world responds to you. The truth is, you are always speaking reality into existence. The question is, are you speaking life, abundance, love, and success? Or are you unknowingly affirming lack, struggle, and limitation? The only effort required is to assume and persist, not with force, not with anxiety, not with doubt, but with quiet, unwavering faith. A farmer does not dig up his seeds each morning to check their progress. He plants, he waters, and he trusts in the unseen process of growth. He does not question whether the harvest will come, for he knows the laws of nature are faithful. The same is true for you. The moment you impress a desire upon your consciousness and persist in the assumption that it is done, the law goes to work. Your only task is to hold the vision steady and refuse to be swayed by appearances. Do not look to the world for confirmation of your desires. The world cannot give you what you have not first assumed within. If you wait for proof before believing, you will wait forever. Proof follows belief. The moment you accept something as true, it begins to take form. Doubt is the only thing that can delay it, and even then, delay is not denial. It is simply a reflection of an unsteady mind. When you no longer waver, manifestation becomes inevitable. You have done this all your life, though you may not have realized it. Every success, every failure, every experience you have ever had was first an assumption in your mind. The only difference between those who create deliberately and those who live by default is awareness. The one who creates deliberately understands that assumptions harden into fact, and therefore chooses his assumptions with care. He does not allow the world to dictate his state of being. He dictates the world by his chosen state. Feel as though your desire is already realized, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Dwell in the feeling of having, not wanting. Wanting only perpetuates the state of lack. But having transforms you. It shifts your consciousness from one state to another, and the world, bound by law, must adjust accordingly. This is why it is written, "To him who has, more will be given." The one who assumes himself to be rich in mind will see riches in his world. The one who assumes himself to be loved will experience love in every form. But the one who believes himself to lack will continue to experience lack no matter how much effort he exerts. This is not a matter of effort. It is a matter of state. The effortless assumption of the wish fulfilled is the secret. To walk in the conviction that all you seek is already yours, even when the senses scream otherwise, that is the test. But once you master it, you will see that reality bends to you, not the other way around. Everything has already been created. Every possibility exists within the infinite mind of creation. The version of you who is healthy, wealthy, loved, successful, that version exists now. It is not something you must build from scratch. It is something you must step into. You do not force the seed to grow. You simply place yourself in the right environment, and the growth happens naturally. Your consciousness is that environment. If you remain in the old state of lack, doubt, and fear, you will continue to experience the same. But if you shift, if you dare to dwell in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, you will see a new world unfold before you. Nothing is too great, nothing is too small. The law does not distinguish between a simple desire and a grand one. It only reflects the state you embody. Whether you wish for a cup of coffee or a vast fortune, the process is the same. The only difference is your own belief about what is easy and what is difficult. But understand this, there is no difficulty in creation. It is just as easy to manifest $1 million as it is to manifest a penny, if you can assume it with the same ease and certainty. Your imagination is the key. What you see in imagination, you will one day see in reality. The world may call it coincidence, but you will know better. You will know that every scene, every circumstance, every encounter was first played out within you. You will begin to see the direct connection between what you assume and what you experience. And when you do, you will no longer feel powerless. You will no longer fear the future, for you will know that you are its architect. Begin now. Do not wait for the perfect moment, for the perfect conditions, for the world to align before you assume your desire fulfilled. The world will not change first. You must change first. And the moment you do, the world will rearrange itself to match your new state of being. Feel it real, accept it as done, walk in the knowing that it is already so, and watch as the unseen becomes seen, as the invisible takes form before your very eyes. The law is perfect. It does not fail. It does not discriminate. It only responds to you, to what you accept as true. There is no power outside of you. No force can oppose you when you stand firm in your assumption. The only enemy is doubt, and even that is an illusion. For the moment you cast aside doubt and accept your desire as fact, the entire universe moves to make it so. The question is never whether the law will work, it is whether you will work the law. Decide now. Choose your state deliberately. Assume the best of yourself, the best of your world, the best of others. Do not allow the past to dictate your future. Every moment is a new beginning, a fresh start, and in this moment you hold the power to shape your destiny. See yourself as you wish to be, feel it, believe it, and then rest in the knowing that it is already yours. For the one who truly assumes never worries, never doubts, never questions. He simply knows, and because he knows, the world must conform. This is the secret, this is the law. It has always been so, and the moment you decide to live by it, you will see wonders beyond anything you have ever imagined. You are the operant power, the sole creator of your experience. There is no external force deciding for you, no fate dictating your path. Only your own assumptions solidified into reality. Every belief you accept, every feeling you persist in, every thought you dwell upon is molding your world into shape. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. Circumstances are at the mercy of you. They shift, bend, and transform according to the state of consciousness you maintain. The world is but a mirror reflecting your inner convictions, and as you assume, so shall you receive. To accept this truth fully is to free yourself from the bondage of doubt and fear. It is to realize that everything that happens in your life has first taken place within you. There is no accident, no coincidence, no outside force moving against you. All that you experience, both the good and the unwanted, has emerged from within. When you grasp this, you will no longer look outside for solutions. You will turn inward to the seat of all creation and deliberately impress upon your consciousness the reality you wish to see expressed. There is no need to struggle, no need to force anything into being. The law is effortless, automatic, and unfailing. Your only task is to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and dwell in it persistently, allowing it to harden into fact. There is no need to wonder how it will happen or when. These concerns belong to the rational mind, which knows nothing of the unseen processes of creation. Your work is to assume, to feel, and to trust that all things are aligning in perfect order. The means will reveal themselves in time, often in ways so natural you will hardly recognize them as manifestations. But you will know that the world is responding to you, that reality is bending to the force of your assumption. There is no limitation except the one you accept. There is no obstacle that cannot be overcome through the assumption of its opposite. If you believe something to be difficult, it will be. If you assume ease, the path will open effortlessly before you. The mind is quick to create barriers, to label things as impossible, but impossibility is only a state of consciousness, a state that can be discarded at any moment in favor of a new one. The world is not fixed, it is fluid, ever-changing, and entirely responsive to the inner state you hold. You must be willing to live in the end, to claim your desire as already fulfilled, even when the outer world offers no evidence of it. This is the test, and it is one most fail, for they are slaves to their senses, waiting for proof before they believe. But proof does not come first, belief does. You must see with the eyes of imagination before you see with the eyes of flesh. You must walk as though the world has already shifted, and in time it will. Persist. This is the greatest secret, to persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, regardless of what the world shows you. To hold the vision unwaveringly, knowing that as sure as the sun rises, your assumption must become fact. The world cannot resist a mind that is fully convinced. It must yield, for it has no choice. It is an echo, a reflection, a mirror held up to your inner world. You have been given the gift of imagination, and with it the power to create anything you desire. The only question is whether you will use it deliberately or let it be ruled by old beliefs and unexamined assumptions. Most people allow their imagination to be directed by fear, by past experiences, by the opinions of others. They live as though they are victims of circumstance, never realizing that they are the cause of everything they experience. They wait for change, never understanding that change begins within. The moment you decide to take control of your inner world, everything shifts. The moment you accept responsibility for your thoughts and feelings, the world bends to your will. You are no longer moved by appearances, you move appearances. You do not react to the world reacts to you. This is the great secret that few will ever grasp, but to those who do, nothing is impossible. Assume now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. If you desire wealth, assume yourself to be wealthy. If you seek love, assume yourself to be deeply loved. If you wish for health, assume yourself to be perfectly whole. Let these assumptions become your dwelling place, your natural state of being. Do not return to the old, to the doubts, to the fears. Remain in the new, and soon the world will reflect it. There is nothing outside of you, nothing to fear, nothing to resist, nothing to overcome except your own beliefs. And beliefs can be changed. The moment you accept a new assumption, the old dissolves. It has no power except the power you give it. The past cannot bind you unless you allow it. The present is a canvas upon which you may paint any future you desire. Dare to believe in the unseen. Dare to trust in the power within you. The world will call it foolishness, but you will know better. You will see the truth in your own life. And once you have seen, you can never go back. You will know beyond all doubt that you are the creator of your reality. And with that knowing, all things become possible. The power of creation rests within you. Every moment you are shaping your reality, whether consciously or unconsciously. The thoughts you entertain, the emotions you persist in, and the beliefs you hold are the seeds that manifest as the events and circumstances of your life. Nothing happens by chance. Everything you experience is a reflection of the state of consciousness you habitually occupy. There is no separation between the inner world and the outer world. They are one and the same, with the latter being only a projection of the former. If you desire change, you must not seek it outside of yourself. You must first alter the inner cause, so that the outer effect may follow. Your imagination is the divine tool through which all things come into being. It is not merely a place for idle daydreams, but the creative power that gives form to your reality. What you imagine with feeling and persist in must externalize itself in time. This is an unbreakable law, as certain as the rising and setting of the sun. When you close your eyes and enter the world of imagination, you are not engaging in a mere fantasy. You are touching the substance of reality itself. The world you imagine is not separate from the one you perceive with your senses. It is its origin. If you would master life, you must first master imagination. To imagine is to create. If you can see yourself in possession of your desire, if you can feel it as though it were already yours, then it must come to pass. The law does not fail. The only reason you do not yet have that which you seek is that you have not assumed it to be yours. Perhaps you have wished for it, perhaps you have longed for it, but have you truly claimed it? Have you accepted it as a present reality? There's a great difference between wishing and assuming. The one who wishes hopes for a future event. The one who assumes knows it is already done. You must train yourself to think from the end. Live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Make it so real within that the external world has no choice but to conform. Do not concern yourself with how it will come to be. The means are not your concern. They are the work of the unseen forces that move all things into perfect alignment. Your task is simply to believe, to feel, and to persist. If you hold the assumption unwaveringly, reality will bend to meet you. There is no need for effort or struggle. The universe does not respond to force, but to faith. The more you struggle, the more you affirm that what you desire is absent. The one who truly believes does not strain, does not doubt, does not look anxiously for signs. They rest in the knowing that it is already done. They walk through life as though their dream has already materialized, and in doing so, they call it forth into being. You must not be deceived by appearances. The world of the senses will often present contradictions, showing you evidence that seems to deny the reality of your assumption. This is the test. Will you hold firm to your belief, or will you waver? Those who succeed are those who refuse to be moved by what they see, choosing instead to trust in what they know to be true within. They do not allow circumstances to dictate their state of mind. They allow their state of mind to dictate. Everything you desire already exists within you. You are not creating something from nothing, you are simply calling forth that which is already yours. The infinite possibilities of existence are within you, waiting to be claimed. There is no limitation except the one you accept. No barrier except the one you refuse to move past. The only thing keeping you from your highest good is the belief that you do not already have it. The moment you claim it mentally, it must express itself externally. Your imagination is the doorway to the unseen. When you enter into it, you step beyond the limitations of the physical world and into the realm where all things are possible. In imagination, you can be anyone, do anything, have anything. You are no longer bound by past experiences, no longer confined by external conditions. If you persist in this state long enough, the world must conform to your vision. It cannot do otherwise, for the external is but a shadow of the internal. To assume a state is to become it. The moment you persistently assume that you are already the person you wish to be, you set forces in motion that will bring it to pass. The world will rearrange itself to reflect your new state. People, events, and opportunities will be drawn to you in perfect harmony with the assumption you hold. But you must remain faithful to your vision. You must not falter when the outer world appears unchanged. The delay is only the time required for your assumption to harden into fact. You have already proven this law in your life, whether you are aware of it or not. Look back at your past experiences and you will see that they were all preceded by an inner state that matched them. The things you feared most, the things you expected most, the things you assumed most confidently, these are the things that have come to pass. This has always been the case, and it will always be so. There is no exception, no instance in which this law has failed. It is the principle by which reality operates, and it is as reliable as the law of gravity. There is no power outside of you. No force can prevent you from realizing your desires except your own doubts and disbeliefs. The moment you decide to believe fully without hesitation, your world will begin to shift. Do not look to others for confirmation. Do not seek reassurance from the external. Look only within. The world outside is merely a reflection of your inner world, and when you change within, the outer must follow. You must practice the art of revision. Do not allow the past to dictate your future. At any moment, you may rewrite the story you have been telling yourself. If there is an experience you regret, a memory that troubles you, rewrite it in imagination. See it as you wish it had been. Feel it as though it had already happened that way. Persist in this new memory and watch as the past loses its grip on you. The future will no longer be shaped by old assumptions, but by the new ones you have deliberately chosen. The secret to manifesting is to live as though your desire is already a present fact. Let every thought, every word, every action reflect the reality you wish to experience. Speak as though it is done. Walk as though you are already the person you desire to be. Feel it with such certainty that the world cannot help but mirror it back to you. This is not pretending, this is creation. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. To have faith is to know that what you have imagined is more real than what your senses currently perceive. It is to trust in the unseen, to walk forward with confidence even when the path is not yet visible. Those who master this understanding hold the key to all things. They move through life with an unshakable certainty, knowing that their assumption must become their experience. Persist and do not waver. If doubt arises, dismiss it at once. Replace it with the certainty that your desire is already yours. When fear knocks, answer with faith. When the world seems unchanged, remind yourself that reality is still conforming to your vision. Hold steady, and soon the unseen will become the seen. You are the master of your destiny. You are the operant power. No one else creates for you. No one else decides your fate. All that you experience is a direct result of your own assumptions, and the power to change them lies in your hands. This is the greatest gift, the highest truth, the ultimate secret. Use it wisely, and all that you seek will be yours. The truth of creation is simple yet profound. You do not need to beg, struggle, or strive for what is already yours. The moment you assume something to be true, the world moves to reflect it. The unseen forces of creation are constantly at work, responding to your assumptions, molding the fabric of reality according to the image you hold within. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are conscious of being. If you desire to change your life, you must first change your awareness of yourself. The world is a mirror reflecting back to you the state of mind in which you habitually dwell. If you persist in the assumption that you lack something, you will continue to see lack. If you persist in the assumption that you are prosperous, loved, and fulfilled, then the world will arrange itself to reflect that truth. You must discipline yourself to think only from the position of your wish fulfilled. For whatever you consistently occupy in consciousness must externalize in form. This is the law that governs all creation. When you close your eyes and enter into the realm of imagination, you are stepping into the creative workshop of your life. It is here, in this invisible space, that all things are made. The images you entertain in this sacred place are not mere fantasies, they are the blueprints of your future. If you persist in a state long enough, reality has no choice but to conform. The world is not fixed, it is fluid, malleable, shaped by the unseen movements of your imagination. Doubt is the only enemy. The moment you entertain the idea that your desire may not come to pass, you introduce resistance into the creative process. Faith must be absolute. You cannot waver between belief and disbelief, for a double-minded person receives nothing. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled so completely that there is no room for contradiction. Let your imagination be your proof, for what is felt within must be seen without. There is no effort in creation, only realization. The one who knows that their desire is already a fact in consciousness walks with a quiet confidence, untouched by appearances. They do not question how or when it will come. They simply live in the end, knowing that the unseen hand of creation is moving all things into alignment. This is the true meaning of faith, to rest in the certainty that what is desired is already accomplished. Every night as you drift into sleep, you enter the gateway to the unseen world. This is the most powerful moment to impress your desires upon the subconscious mind, for in sleep the conscious barriers dissolve, and the subconscious accepts as true whatever it is given. If you would change your life, you must master the art of falling asleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Feel the reality of your desire as you surrender to sleep, and know that as you rest, unseen forces are working to bring it into form. There is no distance between you and what you seek. The only thing that separates you from your desire is your own sense of separation. The moment you realize that you and your desire are one, manifestation is inevitable. This is why imagining from the end is so powerful. When you assume that you already have what you seek, you dissolve all barriers and allow it to flow effortlessly into your world. Your senses will attempt to deceive you. They will show you conditions that seem to contradict your assumption, tempting you to return to old beliefs. But you must not be swayed by appearances. You must remember that the outer world is always a reflection of past states of consciousness, and the new reality you have claimed is in the process of unfolding. Hold steady in your assumption, and soon the world will conform. Your past does not define you. The only thing that matters is the state you occupy now. At any moment, you can rewrite your story. You can step into a new identity, a new reality, simply by assuming it to be so. Do not allow old memories, past failures, or limiting beliefs to hold you captive. What was is irrelevant. Only what you now assume to be true matters. The world will reflect your present assumption, not your past experiences. The mind is always occupied with something. If you do not deliberately choose your assumptions, they will be chosen for you by habit, by circumstance, by external influences. You must take control of your mind and decide what you wish to experience. Be vigilant, for every thought you entertain is planting a seed. If you allow doubts, fears, or negative assumptions to take root, they will grow into unwanted conditions. But if you consistently assume only what is in alignment with your highest vision, then that is what must come to pass. Your desires are not random. They are whispers from the divine, calling you to remember who you truly are. The things you long for, the visions that inspire you, the dreams that light a fire within you, these are not mere fantasies. They are glimpses of the reality that already exists within you, waiting to be claimed. You do not need permission to have what you desire. You only need the courage to assume that it is already yours. You must not wait for external confirmation. Many make the mistake of looking for signs before they believe, but this is not how creation works. It is belief that creates the sign, not the other way around. The one who truly understands this law does not seek validation from the world. They create the world through the certainty of their assumption. They do not ask whether their desire will come. They know that it already has. Revision is the art of reshaping your past to align with the reality you wish to experience. If there is an event that troubles you, do not accept it as fixed. In imagination, replay it differently. Rewrite the scene as you would have wanted it to be. Feel it as though it had always been that way. Do this repeatedly until the new version feels just as real as the old one. In time, your outer world will shift to reflect this change. The power to create lies in stillness. Many believe they must constantly affirm, visualize, or take action in order to manifest their desires, but the most powerful state is one of quiet knowing. The one who is truly confident does not feel the need to repeat their assumption over and over. They rest in the certainty that it is done. When the desire is fully impressed upon the subconscious, there is no need for repetition. It has already been set in motion. To believe in your imagination more than in the evidence of the senses is the key to mastery. The world may tell you that what you seek is impossible, but the world is only reflecting your past assumptions. If you persist in your vision, the world will eventually conform. The only requirement is that you do not waver. The moment you accept the reality of your assumption, manifestation begins. Everything is already finished. The reality you seek exists now, waiting for you to claim it. There is nothing to create, only something to become aware of. The instant you shift your awareness to the end result, it is yours. Nothing else is required. Hold the assumption with confidence, rest in the knowing, and allow the world to rearrange itself in your favor. You are the author of your story. You are the creator of your reality. No one else has power over your fate. What you assume, you become. What you persist in, you experience. There is no external force dictating your life, only your own imagination, shaping the world according to the image you hold within. Align yourself with your highest vision, and you will watch as the world transforms before your eyes. The power to manifest your desires has always been within you. There is no force outside of you that determines your fate, only the assumptions you hold and the consciousness you embody. You are not bound by circumstances, past experiences, or external conditions. The world is merely a reflection of your inner state, and the moment you shift your awareness, the outer world must follow. Hold fast to your vision. Refuse to be swayed by appearances. Persist in the assumption that what you seek is already yours, and reality will conform to your belief. The law is simple. What you imagine and feel as real with unwavering conviction must come to pass. Trust in your creative power. Live in the end, knowing that the unseen forces of creation are already working on your behalf. Let go of doubt. Walk with confidence and allow yourself to receive what is already yours. The moment you accept this truth, you will see that nothing is impossible because you are the creator of your reality. There is a moment in life when everything feels uncertain, when the very foundation beneath your feet begins to shake. You sense that something is changing, something unseen yet profoundly real. This is not chaos. This is not destruction. This is a shift divine in nature, orchestrated by God Himself. But the question is, are you ready? A shift is not always comfortable. It does not come wrapped in ease and familiarity. It comes as a breaking, a stretching, a calling forth of the hidden strength within you. Many miss it because they resist, because they cling to what was, instead of surrendering to what is being made new. Let us explore 8 profound truths about God's shift in your life. These are not just concepts, but divine principles that, if embraced, will transform the way you see and experience this transition. A shift begins with disruption. Every major shift in the Bible was preceded by a divine disruption. Abraham was told to leave his homeland. Joseph was thrown into a pit before he reached the palace. Moses was driven from Egypt before he became a leader. God does not shift you by keeping things the same. He moves by unsettling the familiar, by shaking loose the patterns that no longer serve your divine destiny. You may feel like you are losing control, but understand this: disruption is a sign of divine movement. Think of the seed that must break open before it grows. If it stays intact, it remains buried in darkness, never reaching its full potential. Your current discomfort is God's way of breaking open something new inside you. Are you embracing the disruption, or are you resisting the shift? God removes what no longer serves you. When God is shifting you, you may notice that people, places, and even mindsets begin to leave your life. Do not mourn what He is pruning. Not everything that started with you is meant to finish with you. Lot had to separate from Abraham before the full promise of God was revealed. Some relationships, some environments, some habits were only meant for a season. Holding on to what God is removing only delays what He is bringing next. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" ask, "What is God making space for?" Your inner world creates your outer reality. What you believe about yourself, about God, about your future, determines the reality you walk into. God's shift requires a shift in consciousness. You cannot enter a new dimension with an old mindset. The Israelites were freed from Egypt, but their minds were still enslaved. Though they had been set free physically, they still saw themselves as slaves, and because of this, they wandered for 40 years instead of stepping into the promise. Are you carrying the mindset of your past into your future? When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust the process. God's timing is perfect, but it often feels slow to the human mind. The process of shifting is not immediate. It requires patience, faith, and surrender. It is easy to trust when you see results, but the real test is in trusting before the evidence appears. You must believe in the unseen before it becomes seen. That is faith. That is the power that aligns you with God's divine shift. Your feelings are the first sign of change. Before your external world shifts, your emotions will give you clues. You may feel restless. Things that once satisfied you may no longer bring joy. This is God preparing you. You are being stretched beyond your comfort zone because you were never meant to stay there. The feeling of dissatisfaction is not punishment, it is an invitation to rise, to expand, to step into your divine calling. Your words shape your future. What are you speaking over your life during this shift? Are you saying this is too hard, or are you declaring God is making a way? Are you speaking words of doubt, or are you calling forth things that are not as though they were? The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21, speak into existence what God has already placed inside you. Speak healing, speak abundance, speak favor. Your words are seeds, and your future is the harvest. Fear is the greatest opponent of the shift. Fear will always whisper, "What if you fail? What if you lose everything?" But fear is not of God. Every great move of God in history required someone to act in faith, despite fear. David ran toward Goliath when others ran away. Esther risked her life to save her people. Peter stepped out of the boat onto water. The difference between those who step into God's shift and those who miss it is simple. Faith over fear. What fear is holding you back from stepping into God's shift? The shift is always bigger than you. When God shifts you, it is not just for you, it is for generations to come. When Joseph stepped into his divine position, he saved his entire family. When Esther answered the call, she saved a nation. This is why the shift feels so heavy. It is not just about your life. It is about the lives connected to you. You are carrying a legacy, a purpose far beyond what you can see. Do not shrink back. The shift is here. Are you ready? There is a moment in life when everything feels uncertain, when the very foundation beneath your feet begins to shake. You sense that something is changing, something unseen yet profoundly real. This is not chaos. This is not destruction. This is a shift. Divine in nature, orchestrated by God Himself. But the question is, are you ready? A shift is not always comfortable. It does not come wrapped in ease and familiarity. It comes as a breaking, a stretching, a calling forth of the hidden strength within you. Many miss it because they resist, because they cling to what was instead of surrendering to what is being made new. But the moment you begin to understand the nature of God's shift, the moment you recognize that it is not meant to harm you but to position you, you stop fighting against it and start flowing with it. A shift begins with disruption. Every major transformation, every divine elevation is preceded by an unsettling. Life as you know it begins to change. Relationships that once felt aligned suddenly feel distant. Opportunities that once seemed secure begin to dissolve. The places you found comfort in no longer satisfy your spirit. And the more you try to hold on, the more it feels like things are slipping through your fingers. This is because God does not shift you by keeping things the same. He moves by unsettling the familiar, by shaking loose the patterns that no longer serve your divine destiny. Abraham was comfortable in his homeland, surrounded by everything he had ever known. But when God called him, it was not a gentle nudge, it was a command to leave behind his past, his people, and everything familiar. Imagine the uncertainty, the questions that must have flooded his mind. Where will I go? What will happen to me? Yet in that moment of divine disruption, Abraham made the choice to trust, and because he trusted, he became the father of nations. Joseph had a dream of greatness, yet before he could step into his destiny, his entire life was thrown into chaos. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned, it would have been easy for Joseph to believe that God had abandoned him. But what he did not see was that every disruption was positioning him closer to his purpose. The pit led to the palace. The betrayal led to his blessing. The pain was the very thing that carried him into his destiny. And what about Moses, a prince of Egypt, living in luxury, only to be cast out into the wilderness? His life took a drastic turn, and for years he wandered, lost in the unknown. But even in that seeming exile, God was preparing him. What looked like a setback was in fact a divine setup for something far greater. The burning bush did not appear in the palace, it appeared in the wilderness. The shift required the disruption. Think of the seed that must break open before it grows. If it stays intact, it remains buried in darkness, never reaching its full potential. But when the outer shell cracks, when it begins to break apart, that is when new life emerges. Your current discomfort is God's way of breaking open something new inside you. The areas where you feel the most resistance, the places where life seems to be pulling you out of your comfort zone, are the very areas where God is moving. Perhaps you have been feeling this shift in your own life. Perhaps doors that once opened effortlessly now seem locked. Perhaps the people you once relied on are drifting away. Perhaps the plans you made no longer feel aligned with your spirit. It is not a mistake. It is not punishment. It is preparation. God is shifting you, and with that shift comes the necessary removal of everything that is not meant to go with you into the next season. When God is shifting you, you may notice that people, places, and even mindsets begin to leave your life. Do not mourn what He is pruning. Not everything that started with you is meant to finish with you. Lot had to separate from Abraham before the full promise of God was revealed. Some relationships, some environments, some habits were only meant for a season. Holding on to what God is removing only delays what He is bringing next. There are friendships that once felt inseparable, but now there is distance. There are careers that once felt fulfilling, but now feel empty. There are habits and routines that once gave you comfort, but now leave you restless. This is because growth demands separation. Just as a tree must shed its leaves in autumn to prepare for new life in the spring, you too must release what no longer serves you. If you try to hold on to what God is asking you to release, you will only create unnecessary struggle. Imagine a person standing on a boat, holding onto the dock. The boat is beginning to drift, but they refuse to let go of the dock. The longer they resist, the more strain they place on themselves. Eventually, they will be forced to make a decision: let go and move forward, or stay behind and miss the journey entirely. God is moving you forward, but He will not force you to let go. That is a choice only you can make. When the Israelites were set free from Egypt, they were no longer slaves, yet many of them still carried the mentality of slavery. They were physically free but mentally bound. And because of this, they struggled to trust God in the wilderness. They longed for what was familiar, even though what was familiar was also what enslaved them. This is why so many people miss their shift. They are so attached to the past, to the familiar, that they resist stepping into the unknown. But what if the unknown is where your blessing is waiting? What if the very thing you are afraid to release is the thing holding you back from receiving the fullness of God's promise? Instead of asking, why is this happening? Ask, what is God making space for? Every closed door is making room for something better. Every person who leaves is clearing the way for the right people to enter. Every disappointment is a divine redirect. Think about a sculptor working on a masterpiece. To the untrained eye, it may seem like he is destroying the stone, chipping away pieces and leaving behind fragments. But what looks like destruction is in fact creation. The sculptor is not breaking the stone, he is revealing what was always inside. The same is happening in your life. God is not breaking you, He is revealing you. He is removing everything that is not part of your divine design, everything that is keeping you from stepping fully into the person He created you to be. So what do you do when you feel this shift? You surrender. You trust. You let go of the need to control the process and instead choose to align with it. Resistance only brings struggle, but faith brings peace. The more you trust God's hand in the shift, the more you will begin to see that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Everything that is leaving your life is making room for what is meant to stay. Every ending is a new beginning in disguise. Every time something falls away, something greater is on its way. You may not see it yet, but it is coming. The shift is here. The only question is, are you ready? There comes a time when the familiar no longer fits. It is not that you have outgrown life itself, but rather you have outgrown the version of yourself that once felt comfortable. This is the moment when God is shifting you, urging you to see beyond what your physical eyes can perceive. He is calling you to trust in something greater, something unseen but deeply real. But to embrace this shift, you must release the old version of yourself. You must be willing to shed the layers that no longer align with who you are becoming. Transformation is not always a pleasant process. It often feels like being stripped down to nothing before being built back up again. But what if this breaking is not destruction? What if it is preparation? When a caterpillar is in the cocoon, it is no longer what it was, but it is not yet what it will be. It is in the in-between, a place of complete surrender where the old structure dissolves to make way for the new. This is what God does when He is shifting you. He asks you to release the identity that was tied to your past, to let go of the familiar so that He can bring you into something greater. The challenge for many is that they become so attached to who they used to be that they resist becoming who they are meant to be. The mind clings to old labels, old definitions, and old stories, even when those things no longer serve them. A person who once identified as broken may struggle to see themselves as whole. A person who once lived in lack may find it difficult to embrace abundance. A person who has been rejected time and time again may have trouble believing they are chosen. And yet, God is calling them to step beyond the old narrative. Think of Peter. He was a fisherman, a man of the sea, accustomed to the routine of casting nets and catching fish. That was his identity, until Jesus called him to be something greater. "Follow me," Jesus said, and in that moment Peter was faced with a choice: remain in the familiar or step into the unknown. He had no evidence of what was ahead, only the voice of God telling him that his purpose was beyond what he had known. And so he let go. He walked away from the life he had built, not because it was bad, but because it was no longer where he was meant to be. The same is true for you. The shift is not about loss, it is about elevation. It is about stepping into the version of yourself that has been waiting for you all along. But it requires faith, it requires trust, and most importantly, it requires the willingness to walk away from what no longer aligns with your destiny. This is why so many people struggle with transitions. The human mind craves certainty, yet faith demands the opposite. Faith requires walking even when you cannot see the ground beneath your feet. Faith requires believing in a reality that does not yet exist in the physical. When God is shifting you, He is calling you to trust Him more than your own understanding, to release the need to know every step and instead embrace the divine unfolding of your journey. But this is where fear creeps in, the fear of the unknown, the fear of making the wrong choice, the fear that if you let go, you will have nothing to hold on to. But what if letting go is the very thing that allows God to place something greater in your hands? What if the fear that is holding you back is nothing more than an illusion? Consider the Israelites. They had spent years as slaves in Egypt, crying out to God for freedom, and when the moment of deliverance came, they rejoiced. Yet as soon as they faced uncertainty, they longed for the very thing they had prayed to escape. The wilderness was unfamiliar, it was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. They could not step into the promised land while still carrying the mentality of Egypt. They had to shift, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. God is doing the same in your life. He is bringing you into something greater, but the journey requires faith. It requires walking through the wilderness without turning back. It requires trusting that just because you do not see the destination does not mean you are lost. The discomfort is temporary, the uncertainty is temporary, but what God is building in you is eternal. And yet, as you move forward, there will be moments when it feels like everything is standing still. Moments when it seems as though nothing is happening, even though you know you are being shifted. These are the moments when faith is tested the most. When the promise seems distant and doubt begins to whisper, what if you heard wrong? What if nothing is changing? What if you are wasting your time? But faith is not built in the moments of clarity. Faith is built in the moments of uncertainty. When Abraham was given the promise that he would become the father of nations, he was not immediately given a child. He had to wait, he had to trust. And in that waiting, God was not absent. He was preparing, He was refining, He was aligning everything for the right time. This is why patience is essential when God is shifting you. The human tendency is to rush the process, to force movement when nothing seems to be happening, but divine timing is not human timing. What looks like delay is often divine protection. What seems like a setback is often a setup for something greater. If you move too soon, you may step outside of alignment. If you try to control the process, you may miss the blessing that is unfolding. This is why trust is the foundation of every shift. Trust that even when you cannot see it, God is working. Trust that even when doors close, it is because better doors are opening. Trust that even when it feels like nothing is changing, everything is shifting beneath the surface. Just like a seed buried in the soil, growth happens before it is visible. Roots take form before the sprout breaks through the ground. This is where many give up. They walk away just before the breakthrough. They grow weary in the waiting and assume that nothing is happening. But the shift is happening. It is always happening. The key is to remain in alignment, to stay faithful in the unseen, to trust that what God has spoken will come to pass, even when you do not yet see the evidence. And when the shift fully manifests, when the doors open, when the new season arrives, you will look back and realize that every moment of waiting was necessary, that every delay was divine, that every moment of uncertainty was shaping you for what was ahead. You will see that what once felt like loss was actually gain, that what once felt like breaking was actually becoming. God does not shift you to harm you, He shifts you to elevate you. He shifts you to position you for what you were always meant to be. And when you finally step into that new season, when you finally see what He was preparing you for all along, you will understand why you had to let go, why you had to walk through the unknown, why you had to trust before you could see. Because in the end, faith is not about knowing every detail of the journey. Faith is about trusting the one who holds the journey in His hands. The shift is happening. The process is unfolding. The only question is, will you trust it? Your feelings are incredibly powerful. They serve as a direct reflection of what's happening within you and around you. Often we may underestimate the significance of our emotions, thinking of them as fleeting or transient. However, they are far more than that. They are the first sign that change is on the horizon. Everything in life begins with an inner shift, and our feelings are the initial indicators that something is transforming within us. This transformation could be personal, spiritual, emotional, or even physical. But no matter the area, our feelings are the early signals that we're moving towards something new. Consider how your emotions shift when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. When you feel a sense of anticipation, excitement, or even nervousness, that's your inner self preparing for something greater. The same way that we feel the excitement of a new opportunity or a new relationship, change also stirs up feelings. Your emotions are the bridge between where you are now and where you're meant to go. If you've ever experienced a moment of doubt or unease right before something significant happened, that's because change was already taking place on a subconscious level. It's essential to understand that feelings are not just random occurrences. They are deeply connected to your thoughts and beliefs. If your feelings are shifting, it is a reflection of an internal shift as well. Your thoughts, beliefs, and intentions begin to align, even if you don't always notice it. The process of change doesn't happen overnight. It starts with those small internal nudges, like a feeling of discomfort or excitement. It's your soul's way of signaling that things are moving in the right direction, even though you may not yet fully understand it. Take a moment to reflect on times when you felt inexplicably nervous or excited about something that was about to happen. Those emotions weren't just about the event. They were the signs that something inside you was beginning to shift. Something within you was growing or evolving. Change often comes with a mix of emotions, and that's normal. Sometimes growth feels uncomfortable, even a little chaotic, but these feelings are often the clearest sign that change is taking place. The key here is awareness. When you become more attuned to your feelings, you start to realize that your emotions are guiding you. They show you whether you're on the right path or need to adjust your course. If you feel anxious or fearful, it might be your inner self asking you to reconsider or take a step back. On the other hand, if you feel a sense of peace or excitement, it could be a sign that you're moving towards something aligned with your true self. It's like a compass pointing you in the direction of what's next in your journey. Our emotions also help us release what no longer serves us. Sometimes, in order for change to occur, we need to let go of old patterns, outdated beliefs, or past hurts. Emotions such as sadness, anger, or frustration can arise when these attachments are being released. Rather than resisting these feelings, we must learn to embrace them as signs of transformation. The more we allow ourselves to feel and process our emotions, the easier it becomes to navigate through the changes. Change may not always feel easy, but it's always necessary for growth. What's important to recognize is that your feelings are not something to be feared or suppressed. They are the natural response to an evolving inner state. So many people try to push away uncomfortable emotions, thinking that they are a sign of weakness or failure. But emotions like fear, sadness, or even anger are powerful indicators that something important is happening within you. These feelings are often what precede the most significant changes in our lives. They point to areas that need attention, healing, or growth. When you allow yourself to feel deeply, you create space for true transformation to unfold. Consider this: when you feel joy or excitement, it's not just a momentary high, it's an indication that your thoughts, actions, and desires are in alignment with your purpose. Your emotional state serves as a mirror, reflecting back to you the internal shifts that are happening. If you start to experience negative emotions, it's essential to explore them rather than ignore them. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to teach me? What is this emotion revealing about my beliefs or actions? Emotions, whether positive or negative, offer valuable lessons and guide you through the process of change. When you embrace the idea that your feelings are the first sign of change, you start to develop a greater level of self-awareness. You begin to understand that your emotions are not random or meaningless, but are deeply tied to your journey. The more you trust your feelings, the more you allow yourself to move through change with ease and grace. Instead of resisting, you learn to embrace the flow of transformation, knowing that every emotion, every feeling is leading you closer to the person you are meant to become. Your feelings are not to be feared or ignored. They are your internal guides, helping you navigate the path of change. When you tune into them, you unlock a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. As you embrace your feelings, you embrace the changes that are taking place within you, and with that you step into a greater, more empowered version of yourself. Your words have an incredible power, far more than we often realize. They shape the world around you, mold your relationships, and even influence your inner dialogue. The way you speak reflects the way you think, and your thoughts in turn determine the direction your life takes. Words are like seeds. They are planted in the fertile ground of your subconscious mind, and over time, they grow into your reality. What you say, whether out loud or to yourself, plays a direct role in shaping the future you experience. Every word you speak carries energy. It vibrates, sending out signals that can attract or repel the things you desire. When you speak with positivity, your words set a course for hope, opportunity, and abundance. Conversely, when your words are negative, they can anchor you to limitations and fears. If you tell yourself that something is impossible, your mind begins to believe it. Over time, these beliefs begin to manifest in your actions, and what once seemed impossible becomes the reality you live. The words you choose to describe your life, your circumstances, and even yourself create the framework for how you experience your world. If you repeatedly speak of lack, struggle, or difficulty, you're reinforcing a mindset that keeps you stuck in those patterns. However, when you speak words of encouragement, possibility, and faith, you invite transformation. Words are like magnets. They pull the energy and experiences aligned with them into your life. Whether you're aware of it or not, the words you speak today are shaping the circumstances of tomorrow. Think about the way you speak to others. The language you use when you interact with people is not only a reflection of your attitude toward them, but it also influences how they respond to you. If your words are kind, uplifting, and full of understanding, you create an atmosphere of trust and respect. On the other hand, harsh or critical words can create distance and tension, leading to misunderstandings and fractured relationships. Your words carry weight. They are the building blocks of your relationships, both personal and professional. But the most powerful words are the ones you say to yourself. We all have an inner dialogue, and whether it's positive or negative, it shapes the way we view the world and ourselves. When you tell yourself that you are capable, strong, and deserving of success, you begin to believe it. Those affirmations create an inner confidence that propels you forward. But if you constantly say things like, "I can't," I'm not good enough, or this will never work, those thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies. The way you speak to yourself directly influences your self-esteem, your resilience, and your ability to overcome obstacles. It's essential to recognize that words are not just sounds or symbols. They hold vibrations that can alter the energy of a situation. Positive affirmations, for example, are an intentional way to raise your vibration and align your energy with the life you want to create. By speaking your desires into existence, you begin to act in accordance with them. For instance, when you tell yourself, "I am worthy of abundance," you start to take actions that reflect that belief. You make choices that align with abundance, and as a result, you attract more of it into your life. And when you say something with conviction, your body and mind begin to align with those words. Your actions follow, and the universe responds accordingly. This is why it's so crucial to be mindful of the words you speak, as they not only reveal your present state of mind, but also lay the foundation for your future. If you consistently speak words of fear, doubt, or negativity, you will create a future that mirrors those emotions. But if you speak words of faith, confidence, and possibility, you will begin to build a future filled with opportunities and successes. Words also have the power to heal or harm. A kind word can lift someone's spirits, restore their confidence, and inspire them to take action. On the other hand, a harsh or critical word can wound the soul and leave lasting scars. When you speak to others, especially those you care about, remember that your words have the power to uplift or tear down. Choose them carefully, for the impact of your words often lasts longer than you might realize. And just as words can build others up, they can also build you up. Speaking with love, respect, and compassion not only strengthens your relationships, but also creates a positive cycle of energy that continues to return to you. The words you use also define your goals and your dreams. If you want to manifest something in your life, you must speak it into being. Whether it's a new job, a healthier lifestyle, or a stronger sense of self-worth, articulating your desires in clear, positive terms sends a message to your subconscious mind and to the universe. Saying things like, "I am open to new opportunities," or "I am creating a life of abundance," puts you in a position to attract exactly what you seek. These words help you visualize and feel the emotions associated with your goals, creating a powerful, energetic alignment between your thoughts, words, and actions. One of the most profound ways that words shape your future is through gratitude. When you speak words of gratitude, you acknowledge the abundance that already exists in your life. This act of appreciation raises your vibration and signals to the universe that you are ready to receive even more blessings. Gratitude is a form of affirmation. It's an acknowledgement that you already have everything you need, and from that place of abundance, you open the door for even greater things to come. The words you speak today are laying the groundwork for tomorrow. They are a reflection of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your intentions. By choosing words that inspire, uplift, and empower, you set yourself on a path toward a future filled with possibility and fulfillment. So be mindful of the words you use. They are the blueprint for your life, and they will shape your destiny in ways you might not even fully understand. Fear is an incredibly powerful force, often standing in the way of our growth, transformation, and evolution. It is the greatest opponent of any significant shift in our lives. Whether we're striving to reach new heights in our personal development, pursue our dreams, or move toward a new chapter, fear has a way of creeping in, trying to hold us back. It speaks to us in whispers of doubt, insecurity, and uncertainty, often causing us to question whether the shift we desire is truly possible. Fear convinces us that we're not capable, that the change we seek is too risky, or that the unknown is something to be avoided at all costs. But in reality, fear is merely a reaction to change itself, and it is through overcoming it that we experience true transformation. At its core, fear is a survival mechanism. It's part of our natural wiring, designed to keep us safe and alert to potential threats. However, in the modern world, many of the things we fear are not life-threatening. Rather, they are related to change, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, the unknown, or even success. When we step outside of our comfort zone, fear activates, signaling to us that we are entering unfamiliar territory. But what we often fail to realize is that this feeling of fear is a sign that we are on the brink of a breakthrough. It's a sign that something within us is about to shift, and the discomfort we feel is part of the process of growth. The greatest challenge that fear presents is that it distorts our perception of reality. When we are afraid, our minds become clouded with negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. We tend to focus on what could go wrong rather than what could go right. Fear encourages us to imagine worst-case scenarios, convincing us that failure is inevitable. It convinces us that the risks are too great and that we should play it safe. But the truth is, the only way to experience the shift we desire is to confront the fear head-on and take that first step forward, even when we feel uncertain or apprehensive. Fear can also make us feel small, limiting our sense of possibility. When we let fear control us, we may shy away from opportunities that would otherwise propel us forward. The fear of making mistakes or being judged can keep us stuck in a cycle of inaction. We may delay important decisions, waiting for the perfect moment which never seems to come. Fear tells us that we're not good enough, that we don't deserve success, or that we're not equipped to handle the challenges ahead. But in truth, those very thoughts are what prevent us from evolving into the person we are meant to be. Every moment we allow fear to dictate our choices, we're holding ourselves back from the possibilities that exist beyond our comfort zone. The power of fear is that it thrives on doubt. It feeds on our insecurities and magnifies them, convincing us that we're not capable of making the changes we desire. It convinces us that we need more preparation, more time, more resources, or more approval from others before we can make a move. But the truth is that waiting for the perfect circumstances only prolongs the fear. The longer we avoid taking action, the more powerful the fear becomes. It becomes a cycle that holds us in a state of stagnation. To break free from this cycle, we must confront our fears, not by trying to eliminate them, but by moving forward despite them. One of the most profound ways fear impacts a shift is by preventing us from trusting in ourselves. Change requires a leap of faith, a belief that we are capable, that we can handle whatever comes our way, and that we are worthy of the success and happiness we desire. Fear makes us doubt our abilities, convincing us that we won't be able to handle the challenges or that we'll fail. But overcoming fear requires developing self-trust. It's about recognizing that we have the strength, resilience, and inner resources to navigate through any obstacle. It's about embracing the unknown and trusting that we are fully equipped to handle whatever comes our way. Another aspect of fear is that it often convinces us to play small. It pushes us to stay in our comfort zones, where things feel familiar and safe. But it's in the discomfort of the unknown that we experience growth. Fear is the voice that tells us to stay put, to avoid risks, and to avoid the possibility of failure. But staying small doesn't lead to transformation. It only keeps us stuck in the same place, never fully realizing our potential. Every time we step beyond fear and take a leap into the unknown, we expand our capacity for success, happiness, and personal growth. It's important to realize that fear is not something that will simply go away once we take action. Fear is often a recurring companion on the journey of growth and change. But instead of allowing fear to paralyze us, we must learn to use it as a motivator. When we feel fear, we can acknowledge it without allowing it to control us. We can choose to step forward anyway, trusting that the discomfort we feel is a sign of progress, not a sign of danger. Each time we face our fears, we gain more confidence in our ability to handle challenges and uncertainties. Fear is the greatest opponent of the shift, because it works to keep us from stepping into our true potential. It tries to keep us small, safe, and comfortable, but it is only through confronting fear and moving forward anyway that we unlock the door to change. The shift happens when we decide that we are more powerful than our fears, when we trust ourselves enough to take bold actions despite the uncertainty. Fear will always be present, but it is not in charge. By facing our fears with courage, we allow the transformation we seek to take place, and we begin to step into the life we were always meant to live. The shift that occurs when we experience real transformation in our lives is often far greater than we anticipate. It's not just about achieving a goal or reaching a milestone. It is about something deeper, something that goes beyond us as individuals. The shift is a profound change that ripples through every aspect of our existence, affecting not only us, but also the world around us. It's a movement of energy, a reordering of priorities, and a deepening of purpose that touches more than just our own personal lives. When we undergo this shift, we realize that the changes we make are not just for our benefit, but are part of a greater plan that extends beyond our immediate scope. At its core, the shift is not just about improving ourselves. It's about stepping into a larger role in the grand scheme of things. We are part of a much bigger picture, and the shift often involves us realizing that our actions have a far-reaching impact. It's easy to think of personal transformation as something that is just for our own benefit, but the truth is that every change we make for the better affects those around us, whether it's through our relationships, our work, or our contribution to the greater good. The shift we undergo helps to create a positive energy that reverberates beyond us. When we enter a period of transformation, we often start by focusing on ourselves, on the changes we want to make in our lives, the challenges we want to overcome, and the dreams we want to achieve. But as we move through this process, we come to understand that the shift is not just about individual success. It's about collective growth. Every change we make contributes to the world's evolution, whether we see it immediately or not. When we become more authentic, more connected to our purpose, and more in tune with our highest potential, we align ourselves with the greater flow of life, and that energy spreads outward. Our shift becomes part of the larger momentum that drives humanity toward greater unity, peace, and understanding. It's easy to get caught up in the belief that we are alone in our journey, that our challenges and victories are ours alone to bear. However, the reality is that our lives are interconnected with others in ways we may not always understand. As we undergo a personal transformation, we begin to influence those around us in subtle yet powerful ways. Our changes inspire, uplift, and encourage others to embark on their own journeys of growth. The shift we experience is not just for us. It's a catalyst that helps others realize their own potential, their own purpose, and their own power. One of the most profound aspects of the shift is that it often brings us closer to our true calling, and that calling is rarely limited to our own personal success. When we make the decision to embrace change, to align ourselves with a higher purpose, we often find that our journey leads us to something greater than we could have ever imagined. It's no longer just about personal fulfillment, it's about serving a greater mission. Whether that mission involves helping others, creating positive change in the world, or contributing to the collective consciousness, the shift becomes about something bigger than our individual desires. We realize that we are part of a vast web of interconnected souls, and our transformation is not only for our own benefit, but for the greater good. As we move through this shift, we are also often led to a deeper sense of humility. We begin to understand that we are not the center of the universe, but rather a small yet significant part of a much larger process. The transformation we experience is not solely about our own growth, it is about the role we play in the evolution of the world. This realization encourages us to let go of the ego-driven need for recognition, status, or validation. Instead, we learn to serve with grace and humility, knowing that our journey is not about seeking personal accolades, but about contributing to the greater good of humanity. The shift teaches us that true fulfillment comes not from personal gain, but from the impact we make on the lives of others. There is also a deep sense of interconnectedness that arises as we go through the shift. We come to understand that we are not isolated in our experiences. Our growth is part of the collective journey of humanity. As we become more aware of this interconnectedness, we begin to see how our actions, both large and small, create a ripple effect in the world. When we shift toward love, compassion, and understanding, those qualities spread to others. When we choose to live in alignment with our true selves, we encourage others to do the same. The shift becomes a shared experience, a collective movement toward greater consciousness and unity. It's no longer just about us. It's about the world we are creating together. God is shifting you, calling you higher, stretching you beyond your current limits. Will you resist or will you surrender? Will you fear or will you trust? Every shift requires a choice. Choose faith. Choose surrender. Choose to believe that what God is doing in you is far greater than what you are leaving behind. The shift is already happening. The only question is, are you ready? The door has always been there. You must open your eyes to see it. Too often we wander through life blinded by our own fears, doubts, and limitations. The door to your destiny is not something that suddenly appears. It has always been there, but in order to walk through it, you must recognize it. Consider a person standing before a locked door, holding the key in their hand but unaware of its power. That key is your faith, your imagination, and your willingness to step into the unknown. How many times have you overlooked an opportunity because it did not come in the form you expected? A woman once prayed for financial freedom, expecting a grand miracle, but what she received was an idea that if acted upon could have led her to wealth. Instead, she dismissed it. Why? Because she did not recognize that the idea was the open door. She waited for a handout when God had given her a hand up. You must train your mind to perceive beyond the surface. The doors God opens are often disguised as challenges, as moments requiring courage, as whispers in the stillness of your soul. To see them, you must be spiritually awake. Your state of mind determines whether you walk through the door. The greatest barrier to stepping through God's open door is not external, it is internal. Your beliefs, emotions, and mental state shape the reality you experience. If you believe that you are unworthy, that success is for others but not for you, you will find yourself standing at the threshold but never entering. Why? Because a person who believes they are unworthy will unconsciously sabotage their blessings. A young man once dreamt of becoming an author. He had a brilliant book idea, but never wrote a single word. Every time he sat down to write, he thought, "Who am I to write this?" He allowed his doubt to become his prison. The door was open, but he refused to step through. When God opens a door, you must align your mind and emotions with the reality you wish to experience. Hold the vision of yourself already walking through that door, embracing the new season with confidence. The mind is the gateway. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Faith is the key that unlocks the door. Many stand before opportunities, waiting for proof, waiting for certainty. But faith is not about seeing before believing. It is about believing before seeing. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He does not dig them up every day to check if they are growing. He waters them, nurtures them, and trusts that the harvest will come. Likewise, when God places an open door before you, you must walk through it in faith. A man once lost his job and feared for his future. But instead of succumbing to worry, he chose faith. He thanked God in advance for the better opportunity that was surely coming. Within weeks, he received a job offer, one that paid more, aligned with his passion, and brought him joy. Faith does not wait for conditions to be perfect. It steps forward, knowing that God is faithful. When you trust in divine timing, doors will open where you once saw walls. Fear will try to keep you from walking through the door. Whenever God presents an opportunity, fear will whisper, "What if you fail? What if you are not ready?" Fear is the last test before the breakthrough. The enemy knows that if you walk through this door, you will step into your divine purpose. So he plants seeds of doubt, hoping you will turn back. Think of Moses standing before the Red Sea. Behind him, Pharaoh's army. Before him, an impassable body of water. Fear told him to retreat, but faith told him to move forward. The moment he acted in faith, the waters parted. You must do the same. If fear arises, recognize it for what it is, a shadow, a lie meant to keep you small. Walk through the door anyway. Preparation positions you to receive the blessing behind the door. An unprepared person can walk through an open door and still fail to receive the blessing. A man once prayed for a business opportunity. When it came, he was not ready. He had not honed his skills, developed discipline, or built the right mindset. He entered the opportunity unprepared and lost it. God does not give us doors we are not capable of handling. If the door is before you, it means He has already equipped you. But you must do your part. Develop your skills, cultivate your faith, and be ready to step into the blessing. Gratitude opens more doors. Gratitude is a magnet for blessings. When you acknowledge the doors God has already opened, He will open even greater ones. A woman once desired a promotion. Instead of complaining about her current job, she started thanking God for it every day. She worked with excellence, spoke life over her situation, and remained joyful. Within months, she was offered not just a promotion, but a leadership role beyond her dreams. Gratitude shifts your energy. It tells the universe, I am ready for more. And when you are ready, more doors will open. The greatest doors lead you closer to God. Not all doors are meant to be walked through. Some lead to distraction, others to destruction. The door God opens will always align with His purpose for your life. When faced with a decision, ask yourself, does this door bring me closer to my divine calling, or does it pull me away? If it brings peace, joy, and a sense of alignment, it is from God. If it causes confusion and unease, be cautious. A man once received 2 job offers, one with higher pay but moral compromise, another with less pay but aligned with his values. He chose the latter. Years later, that job opened doors beyond what he could imagine. God's doors lead to purpose. Trust His direction. When you walk through, your life will never be the same. The moment you step through God's open door, transformation begins. You will see yourself differently, experience new levels of favor, and realize that everything you once feared was only an illusion. A caterpillar enters the cocoon, not realizing it is stepping into transformation. It emerges a butterfly, forever changed. Likewise, when you step through the door God has opened for you, you will not be the same person on the other side. This is your moment. The door is before you. Walk through it with boldness, knowing that what awaits you is greater than anything you are leaving behind. God is opening a powerful door for you. Don't miss it. The door has always been there, waiting for you to see it. It is not something that suddenly appears, not something distant or beyond your reach. It has been before you all along, but your ability to recognize it depends entirely on the state of your mind, the clarity of your vision, and your willingness to step forward in faith. Life often presents itself as a series of locked doors, obstacles that seem to deny entry, barriers that keep us from reaching the life we desire. But what if these doors are not locked at all? What if they are simply waiting for you to acknowledge them? So many people stand before opportunity, unaware that the handle is already within their grasp. They wait for external validation, for a sign, for a push from the outside world. But in doing so, they fail to realize that the only thing missing is their own willingness to turn the handle and step through. Imagine a man who has spent years working tirelessly at a job that drains him. Each morning he wakes up feeling trapped, believing that his circumstances are unchangeable. He dreams of a better life, a career that fulfills him, financial freedom that allows him to provide for his family without struggle. He prays for an opportunity, for a breakthrough, for God to intervene. Yet every day, when he walks past the bookstore, he ignores the pull in his heart to step inside and browse the business section. Every evening, when he feels an idea spark in his mind about starting his own business, he dismisses it as foolishness, thinking he is not smart enough, not connected enough, not ready. he does not see that the door has already been opened. Opportunities rarely announce themselves with fanfare. They come quietly, in moments of inspiration, in ideas that seem small at first, in whispers that speak to the depths of your soul. The woman who prays for a financial blessing but ignores the intuitive nudge to start selling her artwork online. The student who longs for a breakthrough but dismisses an unexpected conversation with someone who could open a door for them. The single parent who desires a new life but overlooks the chance encounter that could lead to a new career. The doors are there, but they require you to open your eyes. The reason most people fail to recognize these doors is because they expect them to look a certain way. They imagine that when God opens a door, it will come wrapped in perfection, requiring no effort, no courage, no faith. But that is not how the divine works. Doors often appear in the form of challenges, in the form of decisions that require risk, in the form of circumstances that demand trust. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea, unable to see that their deliverance was right in front of them. They saw an obstacle, but God saw a passage. Only when they moved forward in faith did the way become clear. In the same way, your open door may not look the way you expect it to. It may appear in the form of an ending, a job loss, a relationship that fades, a plan that falls apart, only to make room for something far greater. It may come as an idea, a prompting, a sudden realization that the thing you have been waiting for has been waiting for you all along. But in order to walk through, you must first recognize that the door exists. And even after seeing the door, many hesitate. They stand before it, unsure if they are worthy, uncertain if they are ready. This is where your state of mind determines everything. Because an opportunity means nothing if the person standing before it does not believe they are capable of receiving it. A person's inner world shapes their outer reality. If you do not believe that you are deserving of success, you will walk away from the very opportunities designed to bring you success. If you do not see yourself as someone who is worthy of love, you will reject the very love that comes into your life. If you do not think you are smart enough, talented enough, or ready enough, you will find a reason to stay where you are, even when God is calling you forward. The story of the Israelites is a perfect example. They were freed from slavery, yet they still carried the mindset of slaves. God had opened the door to the promised land, but because they saw themselves as small, as incapable, as unworthy, they wandered for 40 years instead of stepping into their blessing. How many people are wandering through life, circling the same struggles, because they refuse to change their perception of themselves? They stand before open doors but never enter, because their mind tells them they cannot. A young woman dreamed of being a public speaker, but every time she had the chance to step onto a stage, she told herself, "I'm not ready." She watched as others took opportunities she once prayed for. The problem was never that doors weren't opening, it was that she didn't believe she was ready to walk through them. God does not open doors you are not capable of walking through. If the opportunity has appeared, it means He has already equipped you. But until you shift your belief, you will stand at the threshold and never step in. What is holding you back from stepping into what God has prepared for you? Fear, doubt, a belief that you are not worthy? If you find yourself hesitating, you must understand this. It is not the door that is stopping you. It is your perception of yourself. There was a man who spent years dreaming of financial freedom, but lived with a scarcity mindset. Every time an opportunity to invest in himself came, he said, "I can't afford it." Every time he had the chance to grow, he said, "I'm not ready." He believed wealth was for other people, that success was reserved for those born into better circumstances. And so, even when doors opened, he never walked through. Contrast this with another man who had no more resources than the first, but believed in the abundance of God. He took chances, trusted the process, and saw opportunities where others saw limitations. When a business opportunity came, he did not ask, "What if I fail?" but rather, "What if this is my breakthrough?" He stepped forward and the doors kept opening. This is the difference between those who walk through the doors God opens and those who remain on the outside. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your destiny. If you believe you are limited, you will experience limitation. If you believe you are destined for greatness, the world will begin to arrange itself in your favor. The key to walking through an open door is not found in waiting for more signs, more certainty, or more external proof. It is found in aligning your mind with the reality you desire. See yourself as already stepping through. Feel the emotion of already living in the blessing. When your mind accepts the new reality, your actions will naturally follow. God has placed an open door before you. It is not in the future, it is not outside your reach, it is here now, waiting for you to step forward. But you must first recognize it. And then you must believe that you are worthy to walk through. What if everything you desire is on the other side of this door? What if instead of waiting for a sign, you are the one who must take the first step? Do not let fear keep you where you are. Do not let doubt rob you of your blessing. The door is open and the time is now. There comes a moment when hesitation must be abandoned. A moment when you must silence the doubts that have echoed in your mind for far too long. The door is open, but it will not pull you through. It requires an act of faith. It demands a decision. Too often people stand before their blessing, analyzing, questioning, and waiting for absolute certainty before they move. But certainty is not the requirement. Faith is. Consider a man who stands at the edge of a vast ocean, longing to reach the other side. He has a boat, he has the tools, and yet he remains on the shore debating whether the journey is safe. He calculates the waves, worries about the wind, wonders if the boat is sturdy enough. He waits for the sea to become still, for perfect conditions that will never come, and so years pass and he remains where he started, though the ability to cross was always within him. This is how so many people live their lives. They ask for opportunities, but when the opportunity appears, they hesitate. They ask for change, but when the moment to step into change arrives, they shrink back into comfort. The fear of failure, the fear of stepping into the unknown, becomes greater than the desire to claim what is already theirs. But hesitation is the enemy of transformation. There was a woman who had spent her life in an unfulfilling job, dreaming of starting her own business. Every day she longed for freedom, prayed for a breakthrough, and imagined herself walking in purpose. Then one day an unexpected opportunity arose, a chance to invest in herself, to take a leap, to step through the very door she had been asking for. But instead of moving forward, she hesitated. She told herself she wasn't ready. She questioned whether it was truly the right time. She let doubt creep in, and as a result, the opportunity passed. She remained exactly where she was, not because she lacked the ability, but because she refused to move when the door opened. The most successful people in the world are not those who never experienced doubt or fear. They are those who refuse to let doubt and fear paralyze them. They move despite uncertainty. They take risks when nothing is guaranteed. They understand that God does not reveal the entire path before asking you to step forward. He simply opens the door and waits for you to walk in faith. A man who wants to become a leader will never become one if he waits until he feels fully prepared. A woman who desires love will never experience it if she keeps rejecting opportunities to open her heart. A person who dreams of financial breakthrough will never receive it if they hesitate every time an investment opportunity arises. The door is open, but you must walk through. One of the greatest examples of this truth can be found in the story of Peter walking on water. When Jesus called him, the water was not calm. The sea did not suddenly turn into solid ground. The storm was still raging. But Peter took a step, and as long as his focus remained on faith, he walked above the waves. It was only when he hesitated, when he allowed doubt to enter his mind, that he began to sink. This is what happens when hesitation takes over. The door may be opened, but if you refuse to walk through, you will miss what has been prepared for you. And the greatest tragedy is not that the door closes. It is that you will never know what was waiting on the other side. Some people live their entire lives standing in the doorway, never experiencing the fullness of what they were meant for. They let fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of failure keep them trapped in mediocrity. They convince themselves that if the door is truly meant for them, it will wait forever. But doors do not stay open indefinitely. There is a divine timing to every opportunity, and hesitation is the quickest way to miss it. Imagine a man who receives an offer for his dream job. It is in another city, far from everything he has known. It requires him to leave his comfort zone, to step into something unfamiliar. Instead of embracing it, he hesitates, he makes excuses, he overthinks. Weeks pass and the company moves on, offering the position to someone else. The door was open, but he did not walk through, and now it is gone. Contrast this with another man who, despite his fears, steps forward. He does not have all the answers, but he trusts that if the opportunity has come, it means he is ready. He moves, he learns, he adapts, and before he knows it, he is thriving in the very life he once only dreamed of. The difference between these two men was not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It was the willingness to move when the door opened. God does not require you to have it all figured out before you take a step. He simply requires trust. He requires action. When you take the first step, the path begins to reveal itself. The resources appear, the right people come into your life, and what once seemed impossible begins to unfold. But none of this happens if you remain in hesitation. You must be willing to let go of the need for absolute certainty. You must be willing to act even when fear whispers that you are not ready. You must be willing to silence the voice that tells you to wait for a better time, a better sign, a better moment, because the moment is now. Opportunities come and go. Some doors once missed do not reopen. Some moments once passed do not return. The regret of not trying, of not moving when you had the chance, is far worse than the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. There was once a woman who wanted to write a book. She had the idea, the passion, the vision. But every time she sat down to begin, she convinced herself she wasn't ready. She needed more research, more preparation, more time. Years passed and she never wrote a single page. Then one day she saw a book published by someone else, an idea almost identical to hers. The very story she was meant to tell was now being told by another. The door had been opened for her, but she hesitated, and while she waited, someone else walked through. How many dreams have died in the waiting? How many blessings have been lost in hesitation? How many people have missed their moment because they let fear decide for them? There is no perfect time. There is no perfect scenario. If the door is open, it is your time. If the opportunity has appeared, it is because you are ready. If the chance is in front of you, it is because you have been prepared for it. But you must act. God does not open doors for you to stare at them. He opens them for you to walk through. He does not place opportunities before you so that you can debate whether you are worthy. He places them before you because he already knows that you are. The question is not whether the door is open. The question is whether you will walk through it. You must decide, and you must decide quickly, because while you hesitate, while you wait for absolute certainty, the door may close. The opportunity may pass. Someone else may step into the very blessing that was meant for you. Fear will always be present when stepping into something greater. Doubt will always try to keep you where you are. But neither fear nor doubt has the power to stop you, unless you give it that power. The door is open, the path is before you, the only thing left to do is move. Will you step forward, or will you let hesitation rob you of the life that is already waiting? There comes a time when you must recognize that what you seek is already seeking you. The doors you pray for, the opportunities you long for, the breakthroughs you desire, they are not distant dreams waiting in some far-off future. They are present now. But the challenge is not whether the door is open. The challenge is whether you are in the right state to perceive it. Most people believe that opportunities come randomly, that they appear by luck or coincidence. But nothing in this universe is random. Everything operates by divine order, by a law that is as consistent as the rising and setting of the sun. The door does not open because you wish it would. It opens because you have aligned yourself with it. You have stepped into the vibration, the mindset, and the readiness required to walk through it. Imagine someone who has been praying for a new job. Every day they ask God to bless them with an opportunity. But when an opportunity arises, they doubt themselves. They say, I don't think I'm qualified. What if I fail? What if this isn't the right time? The opportunity was given, but because they were still trapped in a mindset of fear and unworthiness, they could not recognize it as the very thing they had asked for. This happens every day. People pray for relationships, but when love comes, they reject it because they are still holding on to past wounds. They pray for financial abundance, but when an investment opportunity arises, they dismiss it because they are afraid of risk. They pray for new beginnings, but when the door to change appears, they hesitate because it does not come in the way they expected. You must understand that God's ways are higher than yours. The opportunity will not always come in the way you imagined. The door may not look like a grand entrance. It may appear as a small step, a whisper, a chance encounter, a decision that seems insignificant at the time. But if you are not in the right state of mind, you will miss it. A man once dreamt of being a leader in his field. He worked hard, studied, and did everything he thought was necessary. Then one day, a mentor offered him an entry-level position in a company he admired. It was not the leadership role he wanted, but it was a foot in the door. Instead of recognizing it as the path to his destiny, he dismissed it as too small, too beneath him. Years later, he looked back and realized that if he had taken that opportunity, he would have grown into the leader he desired to be. But because he was not in the right mindset, he missed his open door. This is why preparation is everything. You must be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready before the door opens. You cannot wait until opportunity comes to start preparing. You must already be in alignment, already be living as if the blessing is here, already be moving in faith. Because when the moment arrives, there will be no time to get ready. You must already be ready. This is the difference between those who seize their destiny and those who miss it. One is always preparing, always sharpening their skills, always staying in faith. The other is waiting, doubting, hesitating. When the door opens, the prepared walk through with confidence, while the unprepared stand still, trying to gather the courage that should have already been developed. You must decide today to be ready. You must walk in expectation. You must train your mind to see the opportunity, even when it does not look the way you thought it would. Because God is not limited by your expectations. He is not bound by your limited understanding. What He has prepared for you is greater than anything you could imagine, but you must have the eyes to see it. A woman once desired a life of abundance. She had struggled financially for years and wanted change. She prayed for a breakthrough, for an open door to prosperity. One day a friend introduced her to a business opportunity. It was different from anything she had ever done before. It required her to learn new skills, to step into the unknown, to take risks. Instead of embracing it, she rejected it, saying, "This isn't the way I thought it would happen." She wanted abundance, but she expected it to come in a different form. Because she was not mentally prepared to receive it in this way, she dismissed the very door she had prayed for. How many times have you done the same? How many times have you overlooked an opportunity because it did not come wrapped in the package you expected? How many times have you ignored the small steps, the divine nudges, the chance encounters because they did not look the way you thought they should? You must shift your perspective. You must begin to see everything as a potential door. Every challenge, every conversation, every invitation, every discomfort, these are all possible keys to your next level. If you are always expecting, always in a state of readiness, you will never miss your door. But if you are closed off, waiting for it to appear exactly as you imagined, you will overlook the very thing that could change your life. There was once a man who lost everything: his business, his home, his financial stability. He prayed for restoration, asking God to open a new door, but instead of a business opportunity, he was offered a job cleaning offices. It was beneath him. It was not what he wanted. But he humbled himself and took it. A year later, while working, he met the CEO of a company who saw his diligence and integrity. That CEO offered him a new position, which led him back into the business world, but now at a higher level than before. The job he had dismissed as too small was the door to his restoration. This is the power of recognizing the open door, no matter how it appears. Sometimes the door does not look grand. Sometimes it is disguised as struggle, as discomfort, as a new challenge that stretches you. But if you embrace it, if you move forward in faith, you will find that it leads to exactly what you have been asking for. People often say they are waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on them. The door is open, but they are too distracted, too doubtful, too unprepared to walk through it. They wait for signs, for confirmations, for absolute certainty before they move. But faith does not require certainty, it requires trust. It requires action, it requires the boldness to step into the unknown, believing that what you seek is already waiting for you. You must train yourself to recognize the opportunity in everything. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what door is hidden within this? When you meet someone new, ask, is this a connection leading me to my next step? When you feel uncomfortable in your current situation, ask, is this the moment I am meant to step forward? Because the answer is always there. The door is always there, but you must be willing to see it. Nothing happens by accident. Every event, every delay, every rejection, every redirection, it is all leading you somewhere. The key is to stop resisting and start recognizing. Stop questioning and start stepping. Stop waiting and start moving. Because the moment you decide to see the door, the moment you choose to align yourself with it, nothing can keep you from what has already been prepared for you. You must not be passive. You must not wait for life to hand you everything neatly wrapped. You must take action. You must move in faith. You must recognize that the door is already open. The only thing left to do is walk through. Life is constantly unfolding before you, revealing paths that lead to your divine purpose. But the challenge is not whether the doors are opening. The challenge is whether you are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally ready to step through them. Too often, people hesitate when opportunity arises, not because the door is closed, but because their own fear, doubt, and lack of preparation keep them from recognizing it. They ask for signs, they wait for the perfect moment, and they search for certainty before they act. But the truth is, the moment you begin to trust that God is guiding you, the doors that seemed invisible suddenly become clear. Fear is the greatest barrier between you and the life that is waiting for you. When an opportunity appears, fear whispers, what if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if this is not the right time? And so instead of moving forward, people retreat into the safety of the familiar, clinging to what is known rather than embracing the possibility of something greater. But God does not operate in fear. He operates in faith. And faith requires action. You cannot sit still and expect transformation to happen. You must move forward, even when you cannot see the entire path. There was once a man who dreamed of becoming a speaker, inspiring people with his words. For years he read books, studied the great orators, and visualized himself on stage. Then one day he was given the opportunity to speak at a small gathering. It was not a grand stage, it was not in front of thousands, but it was an open door. Yet instead of stepping into it, he hesitated. He doubted himself. He told himself he needed more preparation, more confidence, more proof that he was ready. So he declined the opportunity, telling himself he would take the next one. But the next one never came. Years later, he looked back and realized that the door had been there all along. He had just been too afraid to walk through it. God does not require you to be perfect before He blesses you. He only requires you to be willing. When Moses was called to lead, he doubted himself, saying he was not eloquent enough. When Gideon was called to be a mighty warrior, he questioned why God would choose someone so small. When Peter was called to walk on water, he hesitated the moment he let fear enter his heart. Every great transformation begins with doubt, but the ones who walk into their destiny are the ones who move despite the doubt. You must decide today that fear will no longer hold you captive. You must decide that no matter how uncertain you feel, no matter how unqualified you think you are, you will step forward in faith. Because the moment you do, God will meet you where you are. He will give you the words when you need to speak, the strength when you need to act, the wisdom when you need to decide. But you must take the first step. There was once a woman who longed for a better life. She worked a job that drained her, lived in a place that made her unhappy, and felt stuck in a cycle she could not escape. She prayed for change, asking God to open a door. Then one day, an unexpected opportunity arose, an invitation to move to a new city, to start fresh, to pursue a career she had always dreamed of. But instead of embracing it, she hesitated. She thought of all the things that could go wrong, all the challenges she might face, all the uncertainty ahead. She let fear make the decision for her, and in doing so, she let the door close. Years later, she looked back and realized that the answer to her prayer had been right in front of her. She had just been too afraid to take it. God's timing is divine. He does not place doors before you by accident. Every opportunity that arises, every nudge in your spirit, every discomfort that pushes you to change, it is all part of His plan. But you must recognize that His timing is not your timing. You may think you are not ready. You may think the conditions are not perfect. But God does not wait for perfect conditions. He calls you when it is time. And when He calls, you must answer. There are people who live their entire lives waiting for a better moment, waiting for a sign that is so clear, so undeniable, that they will have no choice but to act. But life does not work that way. The greatest opportunities come disguised as small steps. The most powerful breakthroughs come in moments of uncertainty. If you wait for absolute clarity before you move, you will never move. You must trust that if the door is before you, it is meant for you. Imagine standing in front of a door that is already open, but refusing to walk through it because you are unsure of what is on the other side. Imagine standing before the very opportunity you prayed for, but hesitating because it does not look exactly as you expected. This is what so many people do. They ask for change, but when change presents itself, they resist it. They ask for blessings, but when blessings come in the form of challenge or discomfort, they turn away. But the ones who step forward, even in uncertainty, are the ones who see miracles unfold in their lives. A young man once dreamed of becoming a musician. He worked tirelessly on his craft, believing that one day God would open a door for him. Then one day he was invited to perform at a small local event. It was not a big stage. It was not what he had envisioned, but it was an opportunity. He embraced it, gave it his all, and from that one event, he was noticed by someone who opened another door, then another. Years later, he looked back and realized that had he ignored that small opportunity, he would have never stepped into his destiny. Your breakthrough will not always come in the form of a grand event. It may come through an introduction, a conversation, a decision to say yes to something outside of your comfort zone. This is why you must stay spiritually alert. You must be willing to say yes, even when you do not feel ready. Because when you walk through the door, you will find that God has already prepared everything you need. Doubt will try to keep you stuck. It will tell you that now is not the time, that you are not capable, that you need more proof. But doubt is not from God. God does not place dreams in your heart only to let them fade away. If He has given you the vision, He has already provided the way. You must trust in that, even when you cannot see how everything will unfold. Look at your life right now. What doors are before you? What opportunities have presented themselves, even in the smallest ways? What discomfort are you feeling that may be pushing you toward your next level? do not ignore these signs. Do not wait for absolute certainty. Do not let fear convince you that staying where you are is safer than stepping into something new. Because the truth is, God has already answered your prayers. He has already made a way. The only thing left to do is walk through the door.